What's going on, family? I am back. We are back, man, to another episode of the Tough Love podcast. For those of you who may be new, or if you need a refresher, this podcast is a self-help, self-health, and self-wealth community. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're promoting self-love and healing and growth in this season. And if that's for you, if that's something that you're looking to become, and have around you, then this podcast is for you. So I was super excited last episode because it was my first episode, first of all, and this is a solo podcast and essentially a video diary of how I'm overcoming life's adversities and experiencing my own miraculous ways and my powers and my gifts within just living in this physical realm, being a spiritual gangster. Okay, so episode 2, what we're going to talk about today, the title of it is going to be You Can Love People and Still Walk Away. And guys, listen, just a disclaimer, don't mind me, my sinuses have been like tearing me up. I don't know what's going on with the Georgia weather, but somebody needs to do something about it, okay? But the title of this episode is You Can Love People and Still Walk Away. And the intention behind this video and this podcast today is going to be to redefine love. Redefining love as self-respect and to teach healthy detachment. And I think that's a real good one. That's something that I'm working through always. Being in the entertainment world and running a business and being a homeowner and just in every aspect of our lives, I think we all have to learn these skills in order to show up better for ourselves. And ultimately, that means we'll show up better in the world. So redefining love as self-respect and teaching healthy detachment is the intention. And I want to open this up by introducing the idea that love doesn't require self-abandonment, because that's something that I've had to learn over time. Is self-abandonment is so easy, y'all. We do it a lot of times when we are at a job that we don't necessarily love and we're around people that we don't necessarily like. There's so many ways that you can abandon yourself, and so it's so important to be able to identify that and to know and understand that it doesn't require it, and to normalize grief without regret. And again, y'all, this is one of those topics, y'all. We get into the nitty gritty. We healing, okay? All 2026, we are healing. So just normalizing grief without regret is going to be something that's super, super important. I think for me too, just being out in the world and growing and being around different people in different times and spaces of their lives is so important. It's so important. So let's get to my first point, okay? The first point is why we stay too long. Okay, why do we stay too long? A couple reasons why we may stay too long in situations where we should walk away. Could be fear of being misunderstood. I know for me, not being understood was something that I've always tried to make a thing. It's like, I want to be understood, so I want to do everything that I can so that you can understand me. Why don't you understand me? And so sometimes you get that fear of being misunderstood, so you'll stay in situations that don't necessarily align with where you're going because you want that person to understand, and that doesn't always happen. And so the fear of that misunderstanding is a reason why we may stay too long, and we got to come up out of that. We got to come up out of that. I know for me, my second mini point is loyalty trauma. It's like, I used to always be like, I'm loyal to a fault, and like not realizing that was a trauma response, and because of my own abandonment issues and things that I didn't realize were things that were affecting me. And so loyalty and being loyal to people and not realizing that maybe it was just the season is so crucial. And another reason why we may stay in situations longer than what they should be. And then my last mini point would be on top of that is that hope is a trap, right? Like, you can hope that things are going to get better, or you can ensure things are going to get better by taking the actionable steps to be sure that it will happen, right? And I think, that's why we stay. You know what I'm saying? Is like, we just hope that it's going to get better, and that person or that surrounding or that space isn't showing you that it is going to do so. So like, believe it. Don't hope, just believe what you see, and that'll help with walking away from some things. And so I want to leave this point with an insight for y'all, and that's staying doesn't always mean that you're strong. Okay? Staying doesn't always mean you're strong. That was something I had to teach myself, right? Like, people, there's a saying that's like, if you love them and you let them go and they come back and, then it was meant to be. It's kind of like that, but like legit, like you staying somewhere, if you came into a situation pretty much sure of yourself and positive and within your right mind, and then you start to deteriorate that while you're in the process with someone, and I look at it like this, is when if you're up here and someone's down here, only one or two things are going to happen. One of two things: either they're going to come up to your level or you're going to go down to theirs. So it's important to walk away while you still have the strength. Okay, it's always important to walk away while you still have the strength, and I think that's just going to be something that I utilize going forward too in my life. Point number 2 is love without access. And this one is kind of touchy for some people, and it's one thing that I have learned over, the course of like 5 to 7 years when I was in business, is like, you want your people to support you, right? You want your family to be there. The people that you thought were going to be there, you're like, I know Cuzzo, I know Mama, Daddy, I know all of them going to be there when I get to this point, of happiness. But that doesn't always happen. And so you get love without access. And a mini point to start on that is loving someone from a distance. It's okay that I have to love you from a distance because we're at different points in life. And I think that's a challenge for many of us because no one told us that we would have to love at a distance, right? When you're in your adolescence, you get everything handed to you. And so you don't necessarily have to do, all those things. Boundaries, okay? Boundaries as emotional safety. That's another mini point on loving without access, is boundaries as emotional safety. I think that we get to places where we compromise our boundaries because we're like, well, I love this person and I don't want them to feel like I'm being this way or I'm being this way. And remember, when you're doing something as a result for someone else, then you're abandoning yourself. And let's not do that. Let's take a moment and be like, hey, look, I need a moment to process this and, to make sure that I'm in the right mind when I come to you with a concern or with anything that may also affect you and make you feel a type of way, right? So boundaries as emotional safety, loving someone from a distance, and lastly, letting go without villainizing anyone. It's like I don't have to hate you, okay? Like this whole culture of like, if I got a problem with you, it's just I got a problem with you and that's just what it is and we're just going to die having problems, is crazy. It's a sick mentality and it needs to stop. And that's why I'm doing this right here. Is like, tough love is saying that I love you so much, okay? I love you so much that I'm not willing to do you dirty or the way you may try to do me, because I know that you're in a place where you need to seek yourself, and I'm not going to take advantage of that. Okay, so letting go without villainizing anyone is so important. Is let people, give people grace. Like, you need grace too. I need grace. Everyone needs grace. So give people grace, okay? And some examples can be like family, romantic partners, or long-term friendships. These are the main places that these things happen, where it's like, what, I gotta love you from a distance? Yeah. Or what, you have a boundary? Yeah. Letting go without hating someone and villainizing them? Yeah. Those are healthy ways to love without access. And my last point is the guilt after walking away. And this one is something that I have struggled with myself, in terms of just like not feeling guilty for choosing myself. in times where I'm like, okay, I did all the things that I could do correctly within what I know and what I'm learning, right? So I know now I need to create a boundary and figure out what I need to do for myself to make sure that I'm showing up as myself and not as someone has triggered me to be or has made me feel I need to be. So the guilt after walking away, okay? Guilt doesn't mean you were wrong. And for a long time, y'all, I promise you, like I was like the resentment that you feel on yourself, you know, sometimes that tough love, it gets to you, you know what I mean? So you gotta give yourself grace. You got to give yourself grace, especially if you are doing things with intention to show up positive, healthy, and correct, okay? So guilt doesn't mean you were wrong. And then conditioning versus intuition, right? Like, you know, some people are like, this is just the way I am. And, you know, the people around me, the people that love me, my family, my friends, they accept me as this, right? And if you don't accept me as this, that means like you don't love me. No, that doesn't mean that at all. It just means that I'm not willing to accept the version of you that you have came to accept, right? And so I also struggle with that. Is like seeing the higher version of someone versus where they are, right? And those people are like, they only see themselves where they are, right? They're living in this physical dimension. I'm living in a spiritual dimension. So it's like, oh, you know, you think that I'm better than what I think I am? Like, yeah, that's exactly that. You know what I'm saying? So that's intuition. You know, it's seeing the higher person or the higher spirit in people and in the potential. But the thing is, you can't get caught up in that, you know? So it's conditioning versus intuition. It's like, hey, are you going to fall in line with what this person's perceptions are? Does it align with who you are? Does it align with your nervous system? And does it make you feel nauseous, or does it make you feel good? What are the energy signals giving you so that you can better determine if someone's trying to condition you for their own intentions and their own personal endeavors that don't mutually benefit you both? Or is this intuition where it's like, okay, I can see the higher version of this person. Yes, this person is going to make mistakes, but they're showing me that they're willing to grow from them and do better, right? So conditioning versus intuition that one's a hard one. And, you know, we like to call it discernment, or, you know, truth versus yours, and so many different ways and verbiage people use to describe these things. But again, these are just mine. And then lastly is rebuilding self-trust. And this one is like one thing that I'm actually still in the process of doing. Remember, this is like a video diary to myself, first of all. And anyone who can bear fruit from the teachings and the learning that I have gained, the knowledge that I've acquired along my journey, then, you know, that's where I get, you know, fuel that's repurposed for good. You know what I'm saying? So rebuilding self-trust is one of those things that I'm doing for myself, is just trusting that intuition, right? Trusting that discernment, right? Remember in the episode 1, I talked about your nervous system lets you know how you feel. So if you feel weary in your stomach, or you feel something, that there's something there, and it's not always bad and it's not always good. So you have to be able to determine what those things are. And so regulating your nervous system means a daily practice of doing these things that I'm talking about, so that you can know exactly what those things are regulating within yourself. So then you know how to mentally prepare and then physically deliver it out into the world. And again, you know, everyone's not going to receive you the way you think they're going to receive you, but you've got to trust yourself. And I hope that you guys seeing me do this podcast, this self-made podcast, that you see that this is something that I'm doing. You know, I'm trusting myself. And so that leads me to the reflection question, which is, am I grieving the person or the version of myself I was with them? That's some tea right there. Clock that. The reflection question is, am I grieving the person or the version of myself I was with them? That's just something to think about, y'all. So in closing, I want to say, give yourself permission to choose peace. Okay? I think we all have ran through this phase of drama and just just the lowest frequencies possible that have left us in such turmoil and, left you and me to pick up the pieces, right? Because no one cared at the time. But this time, you got to give yourself permission to choose peace, not chaos. That's not the norm. Your nervous system shouldn't be in chaos. Choose peace. And then lastly, reminder. I want to give you just a reminder that endings aren't failures. Okay? Some things are seasonal. All right, and that's something that I'm speaking to me and you. Some things are seasonal. Everybody isn't meant to stay. Every piece of material that you get isn't meant to just be yours and you keep it. There's so many seasons. So just remember that endings aren't failure, okay? And the hard truth of the week is that sometimes love looks like leaving, y'all. Okay? That's the hard truth of the week. Is sometimes love looks like leaving. Look, y'all, I hope you guys could bear some fruit from this episode of Tough Love, episode 2 of Tough Love, okay? I think I'm giving some gems. Y'all. So, write some notes, do whatever you gotta do, transcribe this podcast, whatever you gotta do, but bear the fruit that you hear today and every other episode. And yeah, man, I hope you guys stay tapped in. Make sure y'all follow me on all social media platforms. And until next time, peace.